Hello, everybody. How is everyone doing? We hope that you're good. Welcome to another episode. Welcome to another show, rather. Uncensored, the truth about money. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it wherever you're from. Johannesburg, Mpumalanga, UK, US. We see that we also have listeners from the US, which is great. Thank you so much. We really we're happy that you're here. I'm your host, Kaya Junior Masango, and I'm with our financial guru, and he's gonna fight me. He's gonna fight me with this one, but we walk by faith. Our financial guru, Pratamza Madlala. So obviously, as we've said, this is season number 2, where it's just dedicated to helping small business owners, to who wants to start businesses or who have already started, just to give that information, just to help, and also to encourage you to do your own research and to take whatever business that you are doing, to take it seriously. So last week, which was episode number 1 of season number 2, we spoke about registering a business. So we've taken you through that step, and we've told you what we recommend and what you need to do, how you can do it, where you can do it, how much it's going to cost you, and all those things, right? And that was episode number 1. So today we are talking about something also that's very, very much important, which is funding. How do you obtain funding? Should you even look for funding? Do you feel like you have what it takes? Is your business idea that great? Is there a need for your business? How do you attract investors and all those things? And so that's episode number 2, which is today. And we're also very excited that we'll be doing also another show concerning accounting and bookkeeping, but that's I think that's episode number 3 or not 4, if I'm not mistaken. So we are happy to be bringing all these things to you so that you may be empowered. So without any further waste of time, our financial guru, Pratamza. Ushayileda.
Shayile yabanda.
Genuine
Yana
leda.
masikhipha amaledhe wazi ukuthi yabanda
Yilo ibeke emuva odropini.
I even forgot about it, bro. I even forgot about it, but I was like, I know there's something in that cupboard. So I had to pull it out.
Fede?
No, I'm all good, my brother. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good.
100%.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah, man.
It's
Good to be
cold.
here.
Yeah,
What can we
the
do?
online things were nice because you're at the comfort of your home. You've got your blanket.
My man, new levels, new challenges. So yeah, we have to embrace the cold in this place. But yeah, man, it's nice to be here. Nice to be part of this. As always, as you say, we're always learning.
No, definitely.
We're always learning something new. You can never know everything. So I think with that being said, even the topic that we're going to cover today,
Sure.
When I was doing research about it, I was like, yo, my man, there's so much out there. There's so much information that is at our disposal, but we're not utilizing it. And it's all at the click of a button. It's not like olden days where you had to take a taxi and go to the library and read. Everything now is at your fingertips, literally. So I think what we're going to share here will be quite insightful, for people. And as said in all our videos, we ask people just to comment, with the experiences in terms of funding, how everything went about, what experiences they had, because it's nice to hear real life, experiences when it comes to that. So, yeah, man, I'm ready to kick off.
But one thing that encourages me, I mean, you've been a financial advisor for, I think you said more than almost a decade now, and you still do your research, you're still learning. So it encourages me a lot, to also keep doing my own research and,
Nah, that's true, brother.
So today we're talking about funding. Like, what are your thoughts around just that topic?
So funding it's an interesting topic because it's not something where, there was a negative connotation behind funding. When it came to the youth. I think probably like 6-7 years ago, with the whole corruption stuff and things not going the way it's supposed to go. There was a point in time where I also seeked funding, but no one got back to us, no one contacted us, and we gave them all the relevant documentations.
Sure.
So that's that when you speak about funding, especially with small enterprises, a lot of people like they shy away from it, or they just rather not get involved with that because they just see it as just a negative thing. But of late, obviously, government has tried to redefine things, to smooth things out, and make it more possible for small enterprises to actually get the necessary funding. And the interesting thing about it is that, like, when you're thinking funding, you're just thinking financial assistance or aid. But when I'm doing my research and I'm going through all of these websites and so forth, these agencies that we're going to speak about, I realized that there's more to this whole funding game than just the financial aid about it or the financial support in it. So yeah, we'll touch up on some of the stuff, but like it's really interesting. Once you get into it and you read up more about it, to say that all right, so I can actually get more than just, let's say, that 10,000 rand, 50,000 rand, 100,000 rand, or 200,000 rand that may be, from these agencies. So yeah, man, looking forward to it.
Is this now for, you just spoke about how you also went out looking for funding. Is this the business that you're doing now or something else?
Yo, my man, yo. No, it's not the business I'm doing now. The business I'm doing now, I started 2 years ago. So by the grace of God, we're fine. We don't need any funding thus far. There was a business that we were doing with a couple of friends. There were four of us. So we're selling shavings. So when you cut wood, right? There's how can I put it? Like shavings that trickle off when you cut it, right? So we used to sell those to farmers. For the bedding for the piggeries or for the cows to sleep on. So we needed funding for like the machinery, because you can actually buy a machine that does the shaving for you. So we went about that route in terms of applying. I mean, we were still very young then. I'm still young now, but we were still young then. But as I said, that nothing came out about it. That like back then, there was a lot of corruption happening, but we didn't know much about it, until we saw it in the news that this agency was closed because there's just too much corruption happening there. So we tried it; it didn't work. So that business eventually didn't also work out. But all of the people that were involved, they're also in business as well today.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's interesting that you spoke about like two scenarios where one, you went out to look for funding, and one, you sort of like started without any funding.
Yeah.
Then at like, what's your advice? Like, if you are starting out, should you, let's say you are starting out a business, should you immediately look for funding, or just whatever capital that you have, just push with it and see how far it can get you?
I think it depends on the type of business that you're in, right? So currently I'm in the carpentry business. So there's not a lot of upfront capital that's required, because obviously you request a deposit from the customer, which then helps you buy like your material and so forth. Yeah. And obviously over time you start purchasing the equipment that you need. So for that type of business, there's not really much funding unless I wanted to go like, let's say, large scale, where I want to have a warehouse where I can cut my own, let's say, boards, edge my own boards, get a team who can assess and, assemble all these things. So once maybe you go into like a large scale type of business, then I think that's when you'll start requiring funding. But my thing is, try use the capital that you have. For you to basically, increase or grow your business, rather than going to, say, the funding space. But when it comes to the funding space, let's say, for example, there's companies that are let's say IT companies.
Yeah.
So you need a machine, you need a laptop, you need, let's say, a desktop, or you need, a monitor for you to be able to do what you can do. You know what I'm saying? So if you don't have money up front, you can apply for funding for that machinery. So my business is not machinery driven. Whereas, like, you get your IT way, you really need, a laptop to assist you in terms of, getting your job. So I think it depends on which type of business you're in, and which sector you're operating in. You know what I'm saying? And obviously the scale at which you want to operate at. You know what I'm saying? So it all depends. Some people, they agree, yes, you need funding. Others, they don't. My own personal suggestion is that, rather use the capital that you have, to grow your business. Obviously, it'll take some time, but in that being said, you're more careful with that money because you know how hard you had to work for it. Yeah.
And then you spoke about agencies, so which brings me to my question: like, what are some of the ways one can obtain funding?
So I think some of the ways that a person can obtain funding, right, is so there's different categories, or let's say different requirements that are needed when you obtain funding, right? So obviously, so there's two agencies to start off. So there's the NYDA, which is the National Youth Development Agency, and there's CEDA as well. I know there's other fundings as well. I mean, funding agencies as well out there, but obviously these are the more predominant ones that are out there that people can actually access. So you have to be a youth. So youth is between 18 and 35. So I'm still a youth. Right? So obviously you have to have skills, you have to show potential, you have to be South African residents, right? And then your business should be operating already. Okay. You have to have someone who's working there full time, either yourself. So that's the number one. You have to be working there yourself, and you have to have at least 2 employees that assist you in terms of running the business as well. So there's a whole list of criteria, and another thing is that you have to have a business plan where you are showing that you are making money, within your business plan, but also within your financial statements as well. They need to see that, all right, by us giving Junior, let's say 100,000 rand, Junior's not just gonna take this money and go buy a new car or splurge at these upmarket restaurants. So those are some of the criteria that are needed for you to obviously get funding.
All right, and then that's so obviously you spoke about the NYDA, ne? So let's look at something else. Let's look at banks.
Yeah.
For instance, right?
Yeah.
How do I apply for a business loan at a bank? Like, what sort of documentation will be required from me as a business?
All right. So when it comes to your banks, okay, so obviously with banks you have to be in operation for quite some time. I can say, let's say, a minimum of 2 years, because what they'll need is an income statement for at least 2 years.
Sure.
They'll need your financial statements. They'll need an income and expenditure, right? And they'll need your tax returns as well. So all of those obviously have to be approved or provided by an auditor or a tax practitioner. So someone who is approved to do the numbers. Those are the main documents that they need. And another thing as well, so obviously depending on how much you want to apply for, so if it's large amounts, then they want to see your business plan. They want to see that, Junior actually knows what he's doing, and Junior knows, they know as well that if we give Junior, let's say that's 200,000 rand, Junior's not going to waste it, but Junior's going to use it, at his best possible way. So that's why I was saying that those are the documents that they need on their side. So besides your, obviously, company registration documents, proof of residence, so besides your FICA documents, so those are the most important documents that they need.
And also, there's this thing going around, right? That it's funny how banks would easily approve you for a car or yeah, like a car, but it's very much difficult for you to get a business loan. Like
Yeah.
what do you? Obviously, you are a financial advisor for banks. Do you feel like that's like what's the whole thing behind that?
So with banks, they look at risk. So that's the main thing that they
Yeah,
look at.
not
So
color, which you are black, you're white, you're tall,
politics.
you're short, because these things go around. Man.
Yeah,
We've
my
had
man.
them
Like
all.
it's
We've
it's
had
it's
them all.
crazy, and obviously there's news going around. But like, if we're not involved in, let's say, race and all these other things, and we look at
Yes.
just, the main things. Banks are, they are risk averse, so they don't want to. They want to give you money, but they don't want to have the thing whereby Uchuna won't be able to pay that money back. You know what I'm saying? So they, with a car, for example, a car, let's say for 500,000. So if Uchuna has a stable income, here's another thing. So if Uchuna has a stable income, works for ABC Plumbers, for example, gets 50,000 as an employee, they'll easily grant you, that finance. But now with businesses, it's a bit tricky because businesses, it's not a stable income. So it always fluctuates. This month, Junior made 200,000. Next month, Junior made 30,000 rand. You know what I'm saying? So that's why it's easier for them to actually approve someone who's an employee than someone who's in business. And for them as well, it's better for them to approve you for, let's say in business now, for them to approve you for a car than just to give you money. Because with a car, there's an asset that's attached to it
Definitely, sure.
rather than
Sure.
this business plan. It's an intangible thing. It's a dream that Junior has. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
dream that Junior has. He was good in terms of his business planning, skills and writing skills. So that's why it's easier for them to grant you, a loan for a house or a car, because as I was saying, there's an asset attached to it. So if
Which they
Junior
can
can't
take
pay for
back.
it,
No, definitely.
they repossess it. But
Yeah.
now, how do you repossess an idea?
Yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I'm saying?
yeah.
So yeah, that's what I've gathered. That's why banks are more inclined to give you a loan for a car or a house, as opposed to just giving you money to start off or to grow your business.
So it's almost an impossible process.
It's not really an impossible thing. So the reason why they look at the last 2 years, they want to see how Junior's business has been doing.
Yeah.
So not like, if you're an employee, you go to a bank, they just they want the last 3 months
Of your statement,
of your,
or-
you know what I'm saying? So whereas with the business, they want 2 years. So at least it gives them a bit of comfortability or a bit of comfort to say that, all right, Junior, his business is doing fairly well, and they can measure or attain, a medium or an average of how much Junior is getting on a monthly basis. You know what I'm saying? Or making on a monthly basis based on the last 2 years turnover. So that's the nice thing. So I won't say it's impossible. People are getting loans. Just to give you some perspective, between last year March and this year March, a lot of loans actually, in terms of the banking sector, have been given out within this period in this period as opposed to the period before. So that's what I'm saying, that now people are actually going to banks and asking for loans, and banks are actually giving them loans.
Sweet. In your opinion, obviously, I'm asking you this question because you're a financial advisor. Which bank do you feel like would easily give you a business loan?
Yo, so I won't say which bank will give you a business loan or which bank won't give you a business loan. So that's us saying that they look at, so banks are pretty much all the same.
Okay.
But obviously they are competitive in nature as well.
Yeah.
So they want to get Uchuna as a customer and ring fence Uchuna as a customer as well. So a bank that you have, let's say for example, banked with for a long time, let's say on your personal side now, would be it'll be easier for them to give you a loan because they know Uchunia, and they already have your personal banking.
Yeah.
So for them to not or reject you for your business, and let's say for example you go to let's say you've got a personal banking with FNB, for example, right? And you go to Standard Bank to go get a business loan because FNB won't give you the business loan. The chances of Standard Bank taking that personal side now from FNB are quite high. So that's why FNB would much more be inclined to give you that business loan or give you that business account, if that may be.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I hear you. So obviously, there's something that you said on the previous question. About you said that obviously banks it's difficult for banks to give you a loan because they basically buying into an idea as opposed to giving you a loan to buy a car because it's an asset they can always repossess that. Then to obviously I think there's also it sort of answers my questions but I also want to hear from your side.
Yeah.
Is it easy for them to give you a loan without you having any assets, or is it's preferable, let's say you already have an existing business with assets that in case you're unable to pay, then they can repossess those assets?
Yeah, so obviously, I think, like as you said, that it's easier for someone to give you money if they know that you've got something, like as an asset or some security that's tangible on your side, because you can seed that, let's say, that property, for example, for the business on the business loan. You know what I'm saying? So if I can't pay for let's say the business loan anymore, the bank can then come, for the company's assets now. So it's easier for them, yes, to grant that business a loan if the business does have some sort of, backing or tangible stuff behind it or assets, yeah.
Right. Cool. So when we started, we spoke about the NYDA, né?
Yeah.
How does one apply for this type of funding? NYDA.
So basically, you go online.
Sure.
Right. So you go online and you submit all the documentation that's needed. So they'll need the most important thing that they need on their side is besides obviously like your ID and proof of residence where you live, and financial statements and so forth. What they need is a proper drafted business plan to see where Utrina is and where Utrina wants to go to. So you luckily nowadays, thanks to COVID, or it's weird saying thanks to COVID, but everything can be done online.
Yeah.
So you don't need to go to the offices anymore.
Yeah.
Everything can be done via email. You can give them a call and they can happily assist you on the other end to say, all right, Junior, these are the additional documents that we need on our side. And they can take it from there.
Ah, sweet. Do you need to repay this?
Good question. So it's funding, you know what I'm saying? So it's money that they give you. So it's not for me when someone says they're funding you something, they're literally giving you money. But that's what I'm saying. They're not just giving you money to, for you to fail. When you started earlier on, we spoke about agencies not just only giving you financial assistance, but non-financial assistance as well. So that speaks to, for example, on the on their website, they've got here business consultancy service, market linkages, so linking Junior with other industry players as well, who are in the game, business management training, cooperative development programs as well. So those also aid you in terms of them not just giving you the money alone, but also granting Junior, how can I put it, a more winning situation in terms of him succeeding in his game. So it's money that they give out. So it's not a loan. It's money that they give out, but they won't just give out willy-nilly to everyone. So that's why you have to have a properly drafted business plan in place so that they can be able to fully trust Junior with what he's doing and with the money that they're going to give him.
But you didn't answer my question.
It's not a loan, buff.
So you don't need to repay it alone. So if you have ever went out and maybe you know more information about the NYDA, maybe you have your own experience, would very much appreciate it if you would send us a message or just comment, obviously we didn't mention everything regarding this, but you might have your own testimony or experience with them. So please do share with us so that we can share with other people as well. So Pratamza, what exactly? So episode number 1, you spoke about CEDA, which is the SEDA, ne?
Yeah.
CEDA. What exactly is CEDA?
So CEDA is generally the same as NYDA. So they're there to also support small enterprises as well. Yeah, so who are basically in youth. So also they they have 53 branches around the country, and they say they've got, I think they say it's almost 244 incubators. So incubators are like support groups, right? Where that's what I was saying, that it's not just financial support that they give, but also non-financial support. So incubators are where like business people come together, they share ideas, they share difficulties, and they try to assist each other in terms of them succeeding. So that's why I was saying that it's similar to NYDA. Also, they assist in the same way as the NYDA as well as CEDA.
And they cater for all type of businesses.
All types of business. So they don't ring fence, all right, I know Junior is doing, obviously not illegal stuff like drugs. Not that type of stuff. But yes, like all types of businesses, they do assist.
And how long must your business be in existence before they can even consider it?
So on the website, they don't say how long. They just say you have to be in full time.
You yourself.
You yourself.
And you must have at least 2.
Yeah, 2 employees that are assisting you run the business. So it mustn't be a side hustle.
It must be a side hustle.
It must be the main thing that you're doing.
Okay, now I hear you.
Yeah.
Do you have maybe, obviously we know you can Google them, but do you have maybe more information, like contact details and all that stuff?
All right, so obviously you can, so on Google you can get everything there.
No. Let's say I don't have Google. Let's say I don't have data, bro. We young people, we don't have data. Where do we call these people? Do you have their phone numbers?
There's sites where there's free Wi-Fi. Now I'm joking. So you can contact them on 012 441 1000. So that's 012 441 1000 or 0860 103 703. You can also go on the website, which is www.ceda.org.za. And so that was with CEDA, right?
Yeah.
And then with NYDA, it's 087 158 6345. So that's 087 158 6345. And you can also request for more information at info@nyda.gov.za.
Sweet. That's about it. Thank you so much for joining us, Simnandi. Thank you so much for joining us. We really hope that you were empowered and that if you are not thinking of starting your own business, that now you are thinking towards that direction. And as we have mentioned, especially with the NYTA and CEDA, there are people that can help you. There are people that can advise you on what to do, So don't be scared. Just take that leap of faith and go out there and do what you need to do. So don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and comment on our page, YouTube page, uncensored_the truth about money. That's very important. The truth about money, because there are all sort of things when you say
all uncensored videos.
So uncensored_the truth about money. So that's also our Instagram handle, right? So please, so if you want to send us a direct message, if you have more questions, or if you have more information concerning what we're talking about tonight, please do send us a direct message. We very much appreciate it. Any last words? And also, this podcast is also available on Spotify, on Google Podcast, and also on Apple Podcast. So yeah. Any last words, Pratamza?
On my side is like as you always put it, people should just go out there, do their research. There's tons of, especially incubators. I think support structure is very much valuable when it comes to business, because business is a different beast on itself, and sometimes if you are alone, you can make silly mistakes where even your company closes. I mean, they were saying that 75% of small enterprises, small to medium enterprises, they shut down within 2 years.
Yeah.
So that's a large number.
Yeah.
So out of 10 businesses, in 2 years, only 3 or 4 will make it. So that's why it's important just to have, support structures. And it's also nice for us to also just hear from you guys, in terms of, your experiences in terms of registering a business, in terms of funding. But any other stuff that you want us to talk about and, try cover, within this season, we'll be happy to assist. So yeah, man, on my side, that's it.
And next week we are talking about accounting and bookkeeping. We are bringing a financial expert, an accountant.
He's the guru.
He's the guru. And it's funny because off air we're talking about. So obviously you run your own business,
Yeah.
and you said that you really need these services,
That's true,
because you yes, business is coming in, but you don't see what you're doing with the money,
Yeah.
and which goes back to what we're gonna be talking about next week, which is
man.
accounting and bookkeeping. So.
I'm gonna be tuned in.
Definitely. You have to be here. Definitely. And which shows that, you can have a brilliant business idea.
Yeah.
But if you cannot handle your books, if you cannot
Yeah.
be structured as a company and keep track of, it seems like a cumbersome process,
Yeah.
to detail everything, to write everything down
Yeah.
that comes in, and
Yeah.
everything. But it's very much important.
That's
It's
true.
very, very much important. So you don't want to miss next week's episode. So from us, we out. We love you. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. Cheers.